Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Failsafe Fitness Golf Show. My name is Michael Joshua. I am the owner and CEO of Failsafe Fitness Limited. Welcome to the show. As always, we are going to give you some information on what's going on with the business, any deals and offers that are going on at the minute. We're going to get into what's gone out on the blog this week. We're also going to get into where the big boys are playing golf this week. So PGA Tour, LPGA, Live, LET, and the DP World Tour. We're going to talk about 3 news items that have caught my eye this week. We're also going to get into, excuse me, some fitness tips. And we're also going to get into the coaching tip. Now, the coaching tip this week is more of an equipment tip. And I'm going to be talking a lot of balls. So we're going to go from 1-piece all the way up to the 5-piece TP5 golf ball, hence the name 5-piece golf ball. And we're going to have a little chat about what each one does, what they can be used for, what type of golfer should be using them, etc., etc. So let's get into the show. As I said last week and the week before, there's not a lot going on at the minute. Golf club is still a little bit closed. I am still coaching, so if you do want to book lessons, I do have the launch monitor and net up, so we can do you a full coaching session, fix a slice, etc., etc. Work on your distance, work on your control and your aiming. We can do all of that on the launch monitor. That is not a problem. We can also do a little bit of short game on and off the putt, the 9th green, and we can do a little bit of putting as well now, as the practice green is now up and running at the golf club. We're just waiting for this horrible weather to go away. This rain is a pain in the arse. I think everybody can agree they've had enough now, and a lot of people want to get back. With the players this week, a lot of people tend to, I started at Genesis, but the players, it tends to be where a lot of people come into playing golf and they wanted the clubs to be open. And we're not the only ones. There's a lot of clubs everywhere that are suffering. I've just been to Scotland. I've had a lovely week on Loch Orr, which is not too far away from Loch Lomond. And we contacted a couple of golf clubs up there, and it was just too wet to play, unfortunately. But hey, it is what it is. And it's typical British weather here on Mud Island. We struggle quite a bit. But yeah, let's get into what's going on. So if you have got an eye on the blog and you like those posts, they're generally fitness related. There are some health and there's some nutrition ones as well. There's a little bit of golf on there, not a lot, because I talk quite a lot about golf on this show. But if you do go to the website, the blog does have a lot of fitness, health, and nutrition tips and exercise tips as well. So we're talking progressive overload this week on the blog. And anybody who's worked with me, that's kind of where we go. I tend to start you at a base point, we cut you down, and we gradually build the weight back. So your maxes increase on a gradual scale. Yes, there's going to be a little bit up and down, but the scale is almost a linear acceleration into your strength and conditioning, rather than trying to push you one week and not push you the next and having this big dip. We like to see an almost a linear progression. There's going to be a couple of bumps in the road where we get stuck, but overload is a great thing, and especially for golfers who have not been into the gym, who have had a shoulder injury or an ankle or leg, knee injury, getting back into golf. You might only play 9 holes. You might go to the range a couple of times. Progressive overload works in the same way. There's just a bit of information on the website about that, so go take a look. If you do want any lessons, so coaching, personal training, massage, kinesiology, nutritional weight management, it doesn't have to cost you a fortune. I've been to a couple of golf clubs this week up in Scotland and seen the prices that they charge in small communities, and they're charging 60, 70, 80 pounds an hour for their golf services. And it's purely because they have a short-term amount of time to make the money, so they're charging almost double what they would normally charge because they're the only ones that are available in that area. On the other hand, I'm a golf performance coach. I'm not PGA qualified, but I've dealt with the human body, mobility, exercise, fitness, biomechanics through most of the things I do in the gym, out the gym, massage, kinesiology, strength and conditioning. So I'm putting my knowledge of that, how the body works, into how I improve your golf game. And a lot of it is not rocket science. We just need to fix a couple of things and make a couple of tweaks and changes to make lasting effects. And I don't think this should be costing a fortune. So that all is on offer for £20 an hour. Flat fee, everything is £20 an hour. Doesn't matter what you come to me for, it's £20 an hour. I am one of the cheapest golf coaches around and one of the cheapest personal trainers around. But cheap doesn't mean shoddy. I am fully professional. Everybody who's come to me so far, I think, has been very successful. They've learned a few things, even if they haven't stayed for very long. They've taken the knowledge that I give them and used it elsewhere, and they've become quite self-sustaining. And that's what you want to be. As a golfer, you want to be in and out. You don't want to be spending, hundreds and thousands of pounds a year on a golf coach and just see your numbers climb. You want to see them come down. And sometimes we get, last year I had a couple of successes where it was, they've dropped from shooting 70 for 9 holes down to the mid to low 50s. That's a great improvement, and those clients are still with me now, and they're still on the hunt for breaking 100 or breaking 90 this year, and I believe they're going to do it. Just a few tweaks here, a lesson every couple of weeks, but £20 an hour is a great thing. You get your value for money from any of the services that I provide. Let's get into it then, shall we? Let's talk about where they are going this week. Obviously, I've mentioned it is the players at TPC Sawgrass, $25 million up for grabs, and that's it. DP World aren't playing, LPGA Tour aren't doing anything, LET isn't doing anything, and Live isn't doing anything. So if you're not playing at the players this week, every other professional event, I think Asia might have something going on, but we don't really, that's not really televised in the West, so I don't really cover that at all. But the 4 other tours, apart from the PJ Tour, are not doing jack this week, which is, if they're not playing at Sawgrass, they're certainly going to be watching it by the look of it. So that's done. That's what's happening this week. Picking on news. So these are the 3 news items that caught my eye this week, and I thought it was quite good and interesting. The first one, and I've talked a lot about the Live and the PGA Tour, but Jay Monahan issues an update on the PGA Tour's PIF talks. So Monahan insisted that the PGA Tour remains in negotiation with the Public Investing Fund of Saudi Arabia, despite striking a $3 billion deal with the consortium of US-based investors in January. Speaking ahead of this week's 50th anniversary of the Players' Championship, the Tour Commissioner confirmed he had travelled to the Middle East in January and spoken to the governor of the PIF, and whilst he refused to be drawn on specifics, he did reveal that both sides remain keen to do a deal. Negotiations are accelerating and there's still several key issues to work through, but they have a shared vision to unlock golf's worldwide potential. He added, I don't believe negotiating a deal with the PIF is the best outcome, obviously, but it has to be right for both sides. We have made and continue to make progress in the negotiations, and I recognise that it's frustrating for everybody. It is really not in the best interest of the PGA Tour and the membership for the PIF to be talking about where we are with the specific elements of the discussion. that's kind of a non-statement. They took the money from the US-based investors of $3 billion to turn the PGA Tour into a non-profit to a for-profit event. The Honda Classic has gone, and it's now the Cognizant Classic. I don't know how they can call it a classic if it's only the first one, but it was at the same event, so I kind of get it. Um, and obviously, I've spoken in recent weeks, a lot of weeks, about the live golfers being annoyed at watching their rank tumble. But again, consequences come with their actions. They took the money to go and play on the live tour. And I say tour, it's an invitational series because there is no tour. They don't get any world rankings. They play 14 events a year. And, I just don't see the PIF and live coming out on top on this like they thought they would. He said on if anything he would have done differently over the last 3 years. When you look back to last summer, he said he could have handled things better. He takes full responsibility and accountability for that. It's on me, and we've moved on. I think we've made some progress, and I've learned from it, and everybody else has learned from it, and everybody's gotten a little stronger. He also discussed a return to the PGA Tour by Anthony Kim. He said he spoke to Anthony Kim before he signed for Live on if he wanted to return to the PGA Tour, but Kim decided that it wasn't the best for him, and playing events around the world on the PGA Tour compared to the short amount of events he would play on the Live events, he felt it was better for him to go to Live. He was also asked about whether he'd face calls to resign by any of the PGA Tour members. He said there's been a lot of good-spirited debates amongst the board. I don't think it would be a surprise to anybody given the events of last summer, but we are on a unified front, and he can't generalise as he relates to players, but clearly given the responsibility he was given by both boards, he has the support of the board above him and the board below him, and he says I'm the right person to lead us forward. He also spoke about Rory's concept of a vision for a world tour, and he said that along with a number of other concepts being discussed at the Dynamic Policy Board, including Rory's time on the policy board, part of the dynamic of being commissioner of the PGA Tour is balancing perspectives, and not only our entire membership, but perspectives of our board members. And it's indisputable that this is a global sport. So yeah, it's kind of a nothing statement, kind of a nothing thing. I mean, Monahan said he brought the 9/11 victims in and said, do you want these players to go and play for a company that created 9/11? Which is wow. And I think the ball is now firmly in the PIF's court. I think the PIF need to come up and just suck it up and say, okay, we've made this little tour, and they've either got to go away, they've either got to make their tour, they've got to make some significant changes to that tour to get world ranking points and stick it out on their own, or that tour and that format is going to have to be changed significantly for the players that are already there to come back to the PGA Tour. Because you can't see PGA Tour, them doing 14 events on the PGA Tour and 14 events on Live. They left the PGA Tour because they were playing around. I mean, a lot of the golfers that went to Live were only playing about 20 to 25 tournaments a year anyway, including the majors. So now if they get the deal where they can go back to the PGA or DP World Tours, then they're going to have play a minimum 10 events. So they're going to be back to playing the same amount of golf as they were before they left. They've just got a bigger bank balance. It just doesn't make any sense. But that was just a little story of the things that were going on, and it's kind of a nothing statement, really. But it still looks like they're trying to get the golfers, especially the ones that have just left, like Ram, Tyrrell Hatton, back on the tour. The third one is the second news piece that caught my eye. It caught my eye a few days ago. Was Hailey Davidson has called her ban from the NXT golf as a slap in the face after the women's tour changed its gender policy for tournaments going forward. Davidson became the first trans golfer to win a professional women's event 3 years ago and has admitted to hopefully one day earning an LPGA Tour card. She won the NXT Women's Classic in Mission Inn Resort Club earlier this year, which gave her access to the Epsom Tour and qualifying for the LPGA. But the hopes of continuing her climb, through the women's game has taken a fresh blow after NXT Golf announced the policy change that banned any competitor that was not a biological female at birth. The decision comes after Davidson was sitting second on the road to the Epsom Tour standings through 9 events this year. She's been left out of the field to play in the next events at Dare the Bear Championship and has hit out of the decision from the Women's Professional Tour, insisting it is offensive to biological females as well as the transgender athletes. Effective immediately, I have been removed from the next 3 NXT tournaments and I've already had to sign up for being approved to play, said the 30-year-old. Do people not understand how LPGA players are and how far they hit? As a player, it upset me. My average distance is 245 yards. There are a lot of LPGA Tour players that are a lot longer than me. You can scream at me, threaten me, throw insults and ban me, but I'll always get back up and keep fighting to the very end against this hate and bigotry. It is just such a slap in the face to all female athletes, being told that any male can transition and beat them regardless of the life of hard work that these other women have put in on the tour. It's something that I picked up on, it's about 5 or 6 weeks ago now. And there's a physiological advantage. I mean, from the event that she won, apparently they were basically just driver wedging 15 of the 18 holes, and the other 3 were par 3s, which is just insane. I don't know. I'm not. I don't care what you are. If you want to be a frying pan, that's up to you. But at the end of the day, there is a physiological advantage, and I think any trans athlete, I think we should be creating pathways for them to play competitive sport. But I think that competitive sport should be done in a way that is fair to the other athletes. And I think if I decided that I wanted to be a woman and spent the next 5 years at 50 years old to go and play, there's a local golf club near me who have the same issue. They've had a man transition to a woman. They're actually playing off the men's white competition tees, and they've won everything for 3 years at this golf club. And the golf club don't know what to do, because in the sense of fairness, they can't really do anything. That man is now a woman. That woman's playing off the men's tees. They can't push them further back. And they're actually beating most of the men at the golf club, let alone the women. And it's a sticky thing, but I think trans athletes need their own sport or version of the sport to make it fair to everybody else. What do you think? Let me know. I just thought it was quite interesting that I'd spoken about it and then it popped back up again. Third and final news piece is the Four Aces. It's Live. So we all know that a few things are expensive, and golf is quite expensive. And Live has all this PIF money. They've got 650 billion sat in a war chest to do whatever they like with. And obviously, DJ took 150 million to join Live. They've actually done a extracurricular, have become the sponsors of the Four Aces, Dustin Johnson's team. And looking at some of the prices of this stuff, I don't know how they justify it. I'm going to be honest. I don't know how Live are justifying the prices. I know the members of the team or the captains of the team or Liv themselves or whoever's taken a cut. But the price of the equipment and the price of the shirts that you got to pay, a Miller hooded sweater, it's £260. It is only 3% cashmere. There's a full swing kit, so there's a jumper, and two polo shirts for £297. A pair of golf pants are £140. They're actually dearer than Hugo Boss golf pants, which is insane. Plain jet black pants, £140. And the Four Aces t-shirts and hoodies are £93 each. £93. I mean, I'm not. Ralph Lauren isn't that expensive. Yet this is a company I've never heard of. They've suddenly become popular because of DJ, and DJ signed this deal for the Four Aces, and I mean, £93 for a golf polo shirt for a team nobody cares about, nobody really watches. That's like, Starbridge Football Club starting to charge £120 for their football shirts. Nobody cares about Starbridge Football Club unless you're a fan of Starbridge. The local, Saturday afternoon team that are divisions. They've had some good FA Cup runs in the UK, but they're not ever getting into Premier League, First Division, whatever, anytime soon. And I don't see golf and the cost of living. I really want to see a clothing brand. I think Druids do a good job. I think they're a really good company. They do some great deals, like £100. They do bundles for like £100, 150, 200, 250 quid, but you get a full, like 4 rounds, 2 or 3, 1 round, 2 rounds, or 3 rounds of full gear, trousers, pants, shirt, sweatshirt, cap, glove, shoes. In some cases, you get a lot for your money. I just don't see the value in this brand, this extracurricular. I just don't see the value for money in their brand. And I don't get it. I don't understand why a polo shirt should cost £93. I don't understand when you've got the likes of Ralph Lauren's RLX collection are anywhere from 60 to 90. You may 120 quid for the Ryder Cup stuff that they had out for the US team, and I get it, but it's every 2 years. So, and a lot of golfers are going to be wearing their polo shirts, especially those ones, for at least a couple of years. So you pay a little bit more for that side of things, but £93 just for a polo shirt? Come on, is it just me? I think it might just be me. Absolutely insane. Okay, so let's get talking fitness. And golf fitness itself is hard, and there's a lot of things that you can do to get yourself fit. And I see a lot of golfers that, we've discussed mobility last week. I've discussed foam rolling as well is good. Stretching is always good because the more you have that stretch reflex and stretch flex in your muscles, and your ability to move gives you more ability to give you a faster swing speed. Um, so we're going to talk about some squats. So back squats. They are fantastic for building strength in your core, building strength in your legs. And obviously, having powerful legs to drive off that front foot and release the head through the golf ball is going to help you increase your club head speed. Having a very strong core is also going to help you rotate faster. So by doing back squats in a gym, whether they be light or heavy, lots of reps or heavy reps, you're going to build some muscle and build some strength. And obviously, being a fast twitch sport, I tend to go for 5x5 program with squatting, deadlifting, and pressing, because the amount of time you spend in a golf swing is, it probably takes 3 seconds to hit a golf club, hit a golf ball. So having the strength, the physiology of being able to do 5 reps with a moderate to heavy weight is going to create that hammer blow force. Because you don't just tap a nail, you hammer the nail. And I think my personal belief in the golf swing is that if you can have a good set of quads, a good core, and some decent mobility, you can create that hammer blow swinging through the ball, not the soft patty golf. We need to be able to hammer that golf ball, create some club head speed, but with control. So doing some back squats, if you get the opportunity to go to the gym, or you're like me, you have a gym at home, building up those quads and using the progressive overload in the blog will help you just gain some strength and also help you get around the golf course. If you get to a hilly golf course you haven't played before in competition, there are a couple of round clubs that we play that are quite up and down. So being able to deal with that up and down, as well as being able to hammer the ball hard through being physically fit, is definitely going to improve your game. Let's get into your coaching tip then. Last part of the show for this week, and we are going to talk balls. And it's going to be interesting. So there are 4 types of golf ball. And a lot of people talk to me about, oh, I should be using Pro V1s, I should be using this, I should be using that. But if you're going to start using Pro V1s as a 35 handicapper, you're going to lose on average a ball every 3 holes or 4 holes. So you're basically going to lose a box of Pro V1s every 3 rounds. So on top of your already expensive golf fees, so you're up to £150 for your handicapping competitions, you're somewhere between £600 and £1,000 for your golf. You're then going to spend every month, you're going to spend £100 on golf balls, on 2 dozen golf balls. That's another £1,200 a year. I don't want you to £600 a year. Sorry, it's another £600 a year. Depending on how many you lose, it could be £1,000. So the argument can be made that there are as many golf ball construction types as there are individual models. But for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to break this down to you now into just 4 categories. And they all design features for the average golfer, the pro golfer, the beginner golfer. I'm going to go through them now. So the one-piece golf ball is normally the range ball. Those are the balls that you go and spend £6, £7, £8 on, and then you see some okay ball flights. You'll have a couple of dodgy ones. There'll be some with no dimples on, and you might find the odd Pro V1. It does happen. It does definitely happen. And these balls are cheap and cheerful because obviously golf balls go missing. People steal them. They use them on the golf course. As a greenkeeper, I see that happen all the time. I've found range balls everywhere on the golf course. The problem is with one-piece golf balls, they are one-dimensional. They have very little spin. They don't go very far. Some of them are as short as 70%. So if you think you're hitting that range ball, that golf ball, 200 yards off the tee at the range, you could be gaining another 60 yards on golf course. That's how bad one-piece golf balls are. So if you go to the range and you regularly steal 2 or 3 range balls because you don't like losing or paying for golf balls, you are officially an idiot because those balls are trash. And the money that you spend stealing range balls, 7, 8, 10, you might even, if you go twice a week, that's £14. For 20 and 30 quid, you could probably pick yourself up something like the TaylorMade Distance Plus, which are a great quality, cheap 2-piece golf ball for 30 quid. So you can skip the range for a week, buy yourself some semi-decent golf balls, and just be better. So let's talk 2-piece golf balls. And examples of 2-piece golf balls are Bridgestone E6, Callaway Warbird, Callaway Super Soft, the forever popular Srixon AD 333, the Srixon Distance Golf Ball, Srixon Soft Feel, TaylorMade RBZ, Titleist Velocity, Titleist True Feel, Wilson Duo and Duo Soft, and also the aforementioned TaylorMade Distance Plus. Golf balls are reasonably cheap. They're ideal for beginners and high handicap golfers with slower swing speeds. These balls are designed to fly straighter with less spin than a multi-layer ball, because the more layers you get into a ball, the more complex and the more dialed in that ball is to a specific swing or a distance or a number. The upside of these is that they spin less. And if a ball spins less in the air, that means they hook and slice less. They also launch a lot higher because the covers on them are more of a firmer polymer, which tends to slide up the club face at impact rather than digging into the grooves of like a soft urethane cover, which will dig and create more spin. And obviously, they're designed to hook and slice a little bit less. They launch higher, which gives the amateur golfer and the high handicapper more confidence of the ball getting into the air. But obviously, with less spin, stoppage into greens is a little bit less. So because they launch higher, they rely on land angle. So the ball goes higher in the air and falls out the sky a bit more steeply. And like I say, the downside is that less spin problem into greens. And it also could prevent slower swingers from generating enough spin, especially with lower lofted clubs, which is why I've seen a lot of amateur golfers in the last 12 months play quite like a Callaway Super Soft or a Srixon AD 333 because they're quite a firm cover, but they're only swinging at 65, 75 miles an hour. Their longer clubs, hybrids, driver, 3-wood, just don't stay in the air because they don't generate enough lift or enough force through the ball to get the ball in the air. The firmer cover and high compression yields a ball with high velocity and high launch angle with low spin and a slightly firmer feel, which is why they tend to make the likes of the Callaway Super Soft and the Srixon Soft Feel and the Wilson Duo at around 30 to 40 compression. So you get the most out of the slower swing speeds, but you don't create as much spin to that less spin takes away curvature from the ball. Because if it's spinning more, the more air, the more reason it will spin left or spin to the right. It's hook, slice. But golfers are sacrificing the attributes of spin and feel for a little bit more distance and in some occasions a little bit straighter. So the higher handicappers, 25 to 50, should be using these golf balls. And they're reasonably cheap. Even like second-hand late balls are decent enough if you lose a lot of them. So yeah, if you're a beginner golfer, go and buy yourself some cheap ones. I always recommend new over Lake, but if you need to buy Lake balls, make sure the Lake balls are one brand. Don't go and buy a big jumble bundle, because there's a big difference between a top flight Lake ball and a Callaway Super Soft Lake ball. They're very different golf balls, very different feeling, and you're not going to be consistent. So if you're going to buy second-hand balls, buy one brand, one model from these companies. That can be done now. It never used to be, but it can be. Let's move into the mid handicapper. So I'd say three-piece golf balls. And most three-piece golf balls are semi-premium. You're probably looking anywhere between 30 and 50 pound a box. Sort of the Bridgestone, Tour Bs, Callaway ER Soft, the Kirkland Performance Plus, Strixon Z Star. I'd say TaylorMade Project A, but I think it's a TaylorMade don't make that ball anymore. I think they've got it's not a super soft. TaylorMade Tour Response. Tour Response is what that is now. Um, and also Titleist Pro V1, Titleist AVX, and Wilson Staff model, as well as the Wilson Triad model, are now three-piece. So the third layer in this three-piece golf ball tends to sit between the core and the cover, and this adds some performance. Plain cover tends to be a layer that gives you either a firmer layer, which is giving you a little bit more launch and less spin, or it'll give you a layer that gives you a little bit more spin by being a little bit softer. The upside to a three-piece golf ball is each layer enhances the performance aspect of the golf ball. They tend to have a soft cover, which enhances the feel, putting, and wedge play. The inner mantle tends to be firmer than the outer cover, which helps improve energy transfer from the face of the golf ball. So the ball doesn't tend to compress as much, which helps then get the ball gone a little bit more distance. Urethane covered multi-layer balls are often softer than two-piece balls and can spin more on chip shots and bunker shots. Urethane is just as soft as the old Bellatas, but is a lot more durable. But these balls tend to be less durable than the two-piece because a ionomer cover tends to be used on the two-piece balls, and a urethane or a mixed urethane cover tends to be used on the three-piece golf balls. The downside of these three-piece golf balls is not all multi-layer balls have urethane covers or the same type of urethane cover. Some are designed for tour level swing speeds, 105 plus miles an hour, and urethane actually slows the ball's spin rate slightly, decreasing its potential for slower swingers. So again, you've got to look when you're buying your golf balls, the three-piece golf balls, you're looking at, is my swing speed higher than 85 miles an hour? Is it more than 105 miles an hour? If you're in between, you don't want to be going for the super firm golf ball, because yes, it's going to give you more distance off the tee, but it's not going to give you as much control in and around greens. And I think in and around greens for that sort of high single digit to 25 handicapper, you want the sense of control, but you also need a ball you can trust. And these three-piece golf balls are where you're at. And then you're looking at 4+ piece golf balls. So Callaway Chrome Soft, Mizuno RB Tour, Strixon Z Star XV, TaylorMade TP5, Pro V1X, which is a 4-piece golf ball, and Vice Pros. So these are multiplayer balls, 4 and 5 piece. They feature a thin outer layer. Again, the normally premium golf balls of urethane, which is nice and soft, allowing for great short game spin, because that urethane is nice and soft like the three-piece balls. They grip into the grooves of your clubs and gives you that spin and control in and around greens. Then there's another. There tends to be TP5 tend to talk about, they've got like a fast layer. So there's the layer that's underneath that urethane cover. One is harder than the other. I can't remember which way round it is now, but I think the TP5 one, they have the urethane cover. Then underneath is a slightly harder TPU underneath, but it obviously isn't as hard as the TP5X version. So the TP5 version gives them a lot more spin, and the TP5X version, that second layer is a little bit firmer, giving them a higher launch and less spin. And then they've got a smaller core and a larger core underneath that. So the four-piece construction is two or three different materials, and they each absorb the shock of you hitting the ball differently. And like I say, with that TP5, that second layer, one is firmer than the other, and it helps then either create some grab for some more spin, or allows the ball to slip up the face a little bit more and launch a little bit higher. If they have, obviously, the third and fourth layers, the core, the inner core, not so much, but the third layer in that ball can then give you a greater discrepancy in terms of how far the ball will go and how much energy transfer from the club face to the ball you get. The downside of four-piece golf balls is they tend to be expensive, even compared to three-piece golf balls, due to the fact they have an extra layer and more manufacturing costs. And if you don't have a high swing speed, 105 plus, you tend not to get the most out of that golf ball. You can see the benefits into greens, but off the tee, you may sacrifice some yardages. And this is where it becomes, if you're in that 9 handicap or 10 handicap or down, these are the kind of decisions you have to make based on your game. If you feel you move up from a 3 to a 4 or 5 piece golf ball and you don't see any difference, or your game actually gets worse, then you may have already found the golf ball that is for you. So yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of different things a golf ball can be and the prices they can be at. But I just recommend pick a ball, pick a brand, and stick with using the same ball. Don't buy lake balls in their masses and have them as different this and different that. I want them to be the same ball. Because I think if you can get used to playing, I mean, if it's Slazenger out of Sports Direct here in the UK, if you can get used to playing that golf ball, it'll take you a while then to change your ability to switch to a more spinnier ball. But there will come a time. There definitely will come a time. And that's about it for this week. I hope you understand what I've said about golf balls. I hope you understand about doing back squats is going to help you become a stronger, more explosive through the golf ball. Obviously, there's not a lot of golf going on this week, just the players, just from what I can see, maybe something out in Asia. If you do want any lessons or personal training to improve your game, £20 a session, all the details are in the links below. Have a great week, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.